Let's cook a porterhouse steak.
All right, so let's take a look at our steak here. So this is actually a porterhouse steak, not a T-bone steak. What makes it a porterhouse steak is gonna be the size of the tenderloin on this side. So the tenderloin looks like it's measuring at about 2.5 inches. So the tenderloin that's bigger than 1.5 inches is actually gonna be a porterhouse. So we have our tenderloin on this side and our strip loin on this side. So this is a really good looking steak. You can see the darker color over here. That's just because it's been exposed to oxygen. There's nothing wrong with the meat. This is still a great piece of meat. And let's get this thing seasoned up. All right, so I'm gonna do a dry brine on this steak. So that means I'm gonna coat it in salt and I'm gonna let it sit for about 4.5 hours in the refrigerator. All right, so I've got this thing covered generously in salt on both sides, and I'm gonna put it on a rack and place it in the refrigerator for about 4 hours. And that's gonna allow the salt to absorb into the steak, and the juice is gonna come out, and then it's going to reabsorb into the steak over that time. So that's kind of what we wanna do. So we're gonna set it up in the refrigerator on a rack and get ready to get cooking this evening. All right, it's about an hour before we're gonna start cooking this. So I pulled it out of the fridge. I'm gonna let it rest here on the counter and come back up to room temperature. All right, so I wanna set my barbecue up here on 2 zone. So I'm gonna dump my coals on one side. This is gonna be my hot side, and then I'm gonna have my cool side over here. All right, we're gonna put our steak over the coals now. We're gonna put it on the cool side of the barbecue with our strip loin closer to the heat because it does cook faster than the tenderloin. All right, so I'm gonna pull my steak off now and tent it with foil for about 15 minutes while I cook up some vegetables. Okay, while my meat's resting, I'm gonna just grill this asparagus straight over the charcoal. It's important that you let your meat rest because you want the juices to reabsorb into the meat and the meat to rest. And then when you sear it, you're just trying to crisp the outside. You don't need to cook the inside anymore. So while these vegetables are cooking up, we will let our meat rest. All right, our steak's been resting. Let's throw it right on the coals and get a nice sear on both sides. We're gonna drop a little bit of compound butter on the top and let that melt. All right, so I'm gonna cut this by cutting the tenderloin and the strip loin away from the bone and then slicing it against the grain. This is our tenderloin. And this is our strip loin.